Hey everybody, it's showtime. Thank you for watching. If you are tuned in right now, I guess I should have made an announcement. I'm kind of bad about that. I need to get better. Anyway, I'm Mandelyn Reese. I'm known as the Street Angel. I got a higher calling in 2012 in Los Angeles to go out on the streets and show posters about kindness. And so I've had all different posters throughout the 10 years I've been doing this all over the country. And a few examples for today: serve others with love and care, have integrity in your dealings with your spiritual brethren, be good to people, treat them right, and you should hopefully get treated right in return, and karma will get you if you are mean to people or take advantage of them. God sees everything. So, and also don't bully other people, try to stand up for others and stand up for yourself, be kind, and also have courage in your life. Sometimes the biggest risks when they ask old people who are dying in the nursing home, what are your biggest regrets? It's like not taking the risks, not doing things that they wish they would have. So be brave, take those chances. If God opens the door for you, have the courage to leap through it and just try it. Even if you're scared, just make your courage greater than your fears. So for some reason, I feel really excited about today's show. Like my heart was pounding and I was like, and I don't know, I don't know why. I'm sorry, I just scratched my nose. It's like a live show. You never know what's going to happen up in here. So you can really get a glimpse into me. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to share some of my most epic spiritual stories. And while I was working on these, I was also kind of playing with the idea of having, Adventures of the Street Angel, my most scandalous stories. I'm sure that would be fun. So anyway, I love having my talk show as part of my mission to spread guidance and upliftment and help spread positive vibes. I usually have cool guests, but today, so I had a guest scheduled and he kind of bailed on me with short notice, even though I had him scheduled for an entire month in advance. So I was like, well, I don't feel like scrambling and finding someone short notice. So I just put this together and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to rock it out, me and myself and I. So I'm just here for your entertainment. I hope you stick around. So yeah, what else is next? Oh, so I'm a healer and I have angel products. And I do online angel card readings and personal coaching sessions. If you just want to reach out to me, my information's down below. You can go to my website and just schedule something up with me. If you feel like you're stuck somewhere in life, maybe I can help you get to that next step. Because it's all about taking steps in the staircase. You don't have to see the entire staircase, just take a step, So next thing I like to usually go over are my products. So in case you don't already know about them, buy my book. It helps you plot your life. Yeah, it's on Amazon right now, but someday I'm going to have self-published or have copies you can buy off my website because Amazon's ripping me off, let me tell you. But anyway, you can work on this and plan your life, and it's really helpful. It gives you lists and vision board papers, and I have a CD to help clear out your energy. It has sound tools. It's a guided meditation to help clear you out of old trauma and baggage. You need to clear your energy every once in a while. If you feel depressed and heavy, well, do something about it. And I have an angel guidance, romantic guidance card, so it helps you with dating and relationships. And it has been very accurate in my own life, which is kind of a bummer because my relationships have been tough. It's kind of weird how some relationships feel like they're an upgrade in some ways, but in a downgrade in others. I don't want to get specific in that, but it's kind of like that's been my experience recently. I will say I'm taking space from the ex again for a good reason. Oh, and I went blonde. If you can tell, I went lighter. I feel better as a blonde, to be honest with you. I feel like it's better with my skin tone, and I just feel like I don't know. more confident when I'm blonde. I can't explain why, even though I'm naturally a light brunette, but I love being blonde. I don't even care. So anyway, today's cool topic are my most epic spiritual stories and experiences. So yeah, let me see, where do I start? Story number 1. That's how I'm going to label it. I'm going to get to as many stories as I can until I like run out of energy or I go over time or something. But I have 7. I'm just going to try to get them all within an hour, get through them or less. I don't always have to reach a whole hour. Y'all have lives too. I'm sure you're busy with your kids and making dinner and, going to the bathroom and whatever. So, okay, next. Story number 1. My modern mystery school astral travel. Okay, so I got exposed to the modern mystery school in Los Angeles when I was there. And it actually has chapters all over the world. This is a very old, ancient organization. It's called Modern Mystery School, but the mystery school teachings have been around since, the time of Jesus. And they pass on these lineage of beliefs and healings and it's all kinds of interesting stuff. And I got inducted into it in LA back in 2013 or something like that. It feels very like regal when you go through the process. It feels just a next level. It's hard to explain unless you get it done yourself. So anyway, I'm trying to describe it. Anyway, so one of the top ladies her name is Teresa Bullard. I actually had her as a guest in my Hollywood talk show. I actually had a really cool studio in Hollywood when I was in LA. I was very blessed with that opportunity. And I had Teresa Bullard. She's one of the top master teachers right now in the Modern Mystery School. I don't even know where she's located right now. I know she moved offices and she might have even moved cities. But I went into one of their classes that they were hosting, and it was called Astral Travel Meditation, which I have never done before. But me as a spirit, I really like to be open-minded to trying new things, especially when it comes to meditation, self-help, healing. Whatever I can get my hands on and try, I'm willing to try it. I do tend to stay away from anything that sounds like witchy or witchcraft or dark or like, I stay away from that. I just naturally choose not to. I'm not saying I'm judging that, like, other people that do it. I just choose to not get involved with that stuff. So anyway, Modern Mystery School, the astral travel meditation. So I'm sitting there and they walk you through this like really deep meditation and you're going through like levels. Of course, you're doing this with your eyes closed, but they're guiding you through like levels of space, mentally or spiritually. And I did feel like I was moving through levels of heaven or clouds or something. And I just kept going and going and going until suddenly I plopped out on this like bed of clouds. And I felt like I was a child, like a toddler when I got to this space. And suddenly this giant etheric hand like led me this like certain direction. And the next thing I know was I was encountering God. And so my experience with God is not going to be everyone else's experience. And I was even explained this when so God spoke to me through telepathy. Like they just put the thoughts or the sayings right in my head. So when I encountered God, he did take a masculine form, but I do believe God, Supreme Being, is genderless. I do believe it's masculine or feminine, genderless God. And it's represented all through nature, right? There's all kinds of genders and sexualities and stuff. So, but the way that God presented in that moment was masculine. He presented himself in this, he had a long white beard and he was wearing, it was like a combination of Santa Claus plus like a king plus a knight. And so it was like he had a crown and he had like, it almost looked like Santa Claus red robe in the front with the white frill. But then on the back was this long metal train like dragging far behind him. It was royalty, I'm telling you. And he had this huge throne that he sat in and blue eyes. And telepathy, he said to me, I'm taking a form that you can recognize so that I can talk to you. And he picked me up. I told you I felt like a toddler in this moment. He picked me up and he set me on his knee like a father would do with their child. And he just looked so deep into my eyes with the most unconditional love. Like, it makes me want to cry just remembering this. So it was so profound. So telepathy, he's telling me, you are loved unconditionally here. You have nothing to fear. And just like that, I was let out of that space. And I was already coming out of the meditation. And I just had tears just streaming down my face. It was so powerful. To feel like unconditional love is indescribable because we don't get that much unconditional love in this world as humans. Most people only know how to love conditionally, including me. I really try hard to love the people close to me, but God, in a different meditation at a different time and place, I was laying in a field and I was meditating and I was going through a really hard time and really hard stuff. And I asked God, I was like, why am I going through this? Why am I here? And the answer that I got immediately sent to my spirit was, you are here to learn how to love as I do. We're here to evolve through however many lifetimes it takes to try to learn to love unconditionally. And it's very hard because other people have such difficult behaviors and traits, but we're all brethren in spirit, and that's why it's so important to treat your brethren with support and kindness and love. But there are times that you can't. There's times you have to stand up for yourself against bullies or fight or flight. Sometimes you have to fight back against an attacker or stand up for yourself because these other people are not awake. They are not evolved. They don't know how to treat people right. And sometimes you're forced to stand in your power and stand up for yourself. But God loves us unconditionally. We are accepted. We are created as we are, as God's child. And it was such a beautiful experience for me. And that's why I felt compelled to share it with the audience, because that's your message, is you are loved by God unconditionally. No matter how much you stumble, no matter how many mistakes you think you've made, no matter what you've done, you're loved. And I remember just a couple days ago, I saw this really profound video on YouTube of this young man who, and this is a true story. I don't know how you can look it up. I think I saved it somewhere, but this young man had a motorcycle fall on him and crush his brain. And he was in a coma for like 2 months. And he's really messed up. He's in a wheelchair, but he lived. And when he finally came out of his coma, what he said was he encountered Jesus. And Jesus told him that we're loved unconditionally, and that his purpose in life from that point forward was to just share the message that you are loved no matter what you think you have done. And to anybody is accepted if you just go to the cross. And that was his message coming out of that near-death experience where he almost died from a traumatic brain injury. And so he preaches, just go to the cross, from his wheelchair to this day. And I literally just watched this video a couple days ago. So I felt like I wanted to piggyback that story into this one because it resonated with me, that God himself told me that, I'm loved unconditionally no matter what I've done. And I was given this calling when I felt like I was in a bad place and doing, and I don't even want to go into it, but I felt like it's just nice to feel that. And so I want you to take a moment and feel that for yourself. So if you're interested in watching some really interesting, if you have Hulu, the TV app, watch some of the shows called I Survived, Beyond, and Back. There's a lot of really cool stories of people who died and came and had experiences, and usually in either heaven or hell, or they encountered loved ones that had messages for them, or Jesus, or angels. And then the ones who've gone to hell have interesting stories too. And they always come back and they're like, I gotta change my life. Like, I gotta do things different and be a person of faith now. So it's really cool stories, real people, real stories on Hulu. If you look up, and they have some of them on YouTube, but most of those specific ones, Beyond and Back, are on Hulu. So I just wanted that's story number one, with a few other tangent particle extra stories thrown in there. And you can also look up the Modern Mystery School on Google, and you can try to find a chapter in your area, and you can look up their different offerings and healings and meditations, and they do all kinds of interesting things. And I do just recommend trying it, because I feel like it will change your life for the better, because it did for me. And okay, let me check the comments. Hi, Philip. You like the blonde? Thanks. Okay, cool. If anyone else wants to leave a comment, I'd love to hear from you. If anything made a difference for you, I'd love to hear it. Let me know that you're watching. So, hi, Eric. Nice to see you. So grateful to have some people going through this with me. Story number 2. Sorry, my nose is running from crying a little bit. My glimpse of hell. So basically went from heaven meeting God to I also had a glimpse of hell. And let me explain. So I actually have been pretty good about protecting myself when I sleep. I do a certain prayers. I have certain angel symbols under my bed. And so I'm pretty good about protecting my energy and my astral body, my spirit self, my mind when I sleep now. But back then, you can get attacked a lot in your sleep, believe it or not. It's almost kind of like a moment when you're vulnerable sometimes. So basically what happened was, and I want to blame this on a client. I don't know why, but I interacted with this particular male client, and I got really bad vibes from him. I don't know, there's the look in his eyes, and like, I just didn't like the energy and the interaction. I felt like creeped out. And then that night, when I went to bed, and I was at my mom's house in her guest room when I went to bed that night. But I think I can't remember if I forgot to do my night protection stuff, but it doesn't even matter. It felt like a spiritual test that I got put through that night, because sometimes that does happen. So the dream started where I was standing in like a girl's locker room, and I just had my angel stuff on, my kindness wings, and I was washing my hands at the sink. And there was this blonde girl, really beautiful blonde girl. She looked like she was a college student, standing next to me in this locker room, washing her hands. And she sees my angel stuff and my posters. And suddenly she just had this rage come over her. And she was like shaking, like seething with anger, and evil was just pouring out of her towards me. Like, my angel stuff triggered her. And she just starts cussing at me and verbally lashing out at me. And she was kind of like slapping towards me and stuff. And I was like, whoa, what is going on here? And I'm trying to get out of this locker room to get away from her. And all of a sudden I feel pain in my arms. And I look down at my arms, and my arms were covered in these painful boils, sores and boils all over my arms. And I was like, oh my God, these hurt. Like, where did these come from? And then suddenly like all these other people and souls, like I'm seeing them. I had gone outside of this locker room, like out in a courtyard, and there were all these different people out there, and they were, hi, Ilanifer. Sorry. So I go out in this courtyard, and all these souls are attacking each other and doing these vile and sordid things to each other and sexual deviant things to each other. Like some of the things I saw in this scene felt so beyond my level of comprehension. I was just like, what? How could my brain even come up with some of this stuff that I was seeing? And I was like, what in the hell? And I started realizing I felt like I was in some glimpse of hell scene. And all of a sudden, all these people start surrounding me, and they start yelling and cussing and attacking me and calling me names and grabbing at me and punching at me. And just, I mean, I was completely surrounded by souls that were attacking me. And I felt so overwhelmed and I felt so helpless. The only thing that I knew how to do in that moment was just call to God and Jesus and angels. And I did it in a broken record. I was just saying, dear God, please help me. Dear Jesus, please save me. Dear God, Jesus, please bless these people. Dear God, please bless these people. Please forgive these people. Dear Jesus, help me. Dear God, help me. I was just saying it in a loop over and over because I didn't know what else to do. I was like overwhelmed by this scene of being attacked, and I mean, it was like a crowd just stuffed up attacking me. And while I was saying this in a loop, Jesus, bless these people. Jesus, help me. Jesus, rescue me. Suddenly they calmed down, and then they all just stopped in unison, and they turned and they walked away. And I was like, I dropped to my knees, and it started to rain, and I was crying, and I looked up at the sky, and it was a rainbow that just formed right over me. And I woke up in my actual reality in bed, and I was physically affected by that experience. My heart was beating out of my chest. I was sweating. I was freaking out. I was like, what in the actual F was that? Holy crap. It was terrifying. But I passed the test. That's what we're supposed to do. And that's your message for story number 2 is whenever you feel overwhelmed or attacked, just call out to God. Just do it. And I actually have another piggyback story to add on to that. And again, from these I Survived videos, this lady was attacked by a serial killer, and he had tied her up and raped her and stuff, and he threw her in the trunk. And she, was tied up with these like reed things. Both her hands were tied behind her back and her feet were tied together, and she's in this trunk and he's driving along. And she said she felt so helpless and overwhelmed. All that she knew how to do was just start praying. And she prayed to God and she prayed to Jesus, and miraculously her ties busted open. And she was able to find the trunk release and jump out of that car and run away from this guy, and some other truck driving by picked her up and rescued her. She's the only survivor from this serial killer. And her prayer saved her life. That's a real life story of survival. I just feel like my glimpse of hell dream, which was so real and still freaks me out to this day to remember it. And I could still remember the feeling of those boils. When I woke up from that dream, I could still feel the pain on my arms of what the boils on my arms. But it was all just gone. It was like poof. I'd passed the spiritual test. I had called out to God and Jesus. I prayed for these people that were attacking me and blessed them, and it dissipated and the rainbow appeared. Like, holy, shit, you know? So yeah, I just wanted to share that crazy stuff. Because these are true stories that have happened to me. Okay, story number 3. Okay, it's another modern mystery school thing, and it's a little bit shorter. But so Teresa Bullard, I already talked about her. I basically went to her to get a very specialized healing that she had told me about. And it was kind of expensive. In fact, it was probably the most expensive I think I've ever spent on a healing treatment. But she told me she's charging me that because she's so busy and has such limited time. And I was like, well, if I'm going to do this weird, bizarre sounding healing treatment, I'm only going to get it from the best, the top lady of the mystery school. So, and it was worth it. So I go to her modern mystery school office, and she takes me into this room, and it was so interesting because I don't know how they got these like completely white tapestries, thick ones that were nailed all around the entire perimeter of the room. So we're talking, when you go into this room, it was completely whited out, and she was wearing all white. So you literally feel like you're of the light, going in there. It's going to be interesting of the experience of the light. So she sits me in this chair, and she opens her book, and she starts saying things in ancient words. I don't know what she's saying. And while she's saying these ancient phrases, it sounded really cool. She has this like metal wand, like stick. It almost looked like a stylus that you use in presentations, but it was just a metal stylus stick. And while she's saying these specific sacred ancient phrases, she's tapping me on different spots of my skull. And at one point, she said something, and she tapped it on a spot on my head, and it felt like I got struck by a bolt of lightning, and I felt it like go down into my brain and do something. And I was like, whoa, what was that? Holy, like, how can somebody actually do that? Where I felt like an electric bolt. I mean, not one that would like kill you, obviously, but I felt it, physically felt it bolt into my brain and do something. So I don't know what she did to maybe activate a part of my brain or help me evolve, but I just want to, the message for you as the audience is, don't underestimate the value and power of healing work, because if you go in with an open mind and an open heart and receive the healing, before I get healing work, I will verbally say, I receive this healing. Make sure you let it be known to God and the universe that your spirit is receiving the healing, and just see what happens. And so I want to piggyback on another story, kind of skip around actually to story 6, because it's related to healing work. So let me just scratch out my order so I don't get screwed up later. I didn't mean to do that. My bad. I'll fix it later. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So last thing. So the other healing thing I was going to tell you about that's pretty cool. So I took this Reiki class. I'm certified in Reiki 1 and 2. My first Reiki class, I want to figure out where I should start. Okay, first I should start with when I was in 3rd grade. I had this dream, and it was very realistic. Why does a 3rd grader have this dream? I don't know, but I dreamed that I was running through some sort of town, like old-fashioned town, and it was nighttime, so it was dark, and I'm running for my life, and I was scared, and all of a sudden, poof, I get hit in the back, and it was an arrow. and I fall on the ground, and I knew I was dying. I could feel my life force and the blood, flowing out of me, and I was just laying there looking up at the stars, and I knew I was dying. And I woke up as a third grader from this dream, and ever since I had that damn dream, I had pain in my side from that dream for many, many years, all the way up until 28 years old or something. So I always had pain right there. So flash forward to when I was 28 and I was taking this Reiki class. And it was only like 4 of us, students and the teacher. So we learned the Reiki stuff, and then we were taking turns doing the Reiki treatments. Like one person would lay down and the other 3 people were hovering over them with their hands, like doing the Reiki treatment. And then once we had completed each person, everybody would share their feedback, and including the receiver. So each student would share if they saw or felt anything, and the receiver would say if they saw or felt anything. Well, so the girls start sharing what they had experienced. And one particular girl, when she was hovering over that particular area, I actually felt that Reiki healing energy like get absorbed into that spot that's always hurt me from that damn dream, that arrow hitting me. Well, guess what she said? When it was her turn to share, she's like, well, I had a vision of an arrow in your body. And we both freaked out. Well, I told her about the dream. I said, well, when I was in 3rd grade, I had this dream. I died of an arrow blast right there. Her face was just like, holy crap. Like, there's got to be something to that. But the existential question is, are we reincarnation beings? And, I had a memory of a past life that traumatized my body, and that healing energy helped me in this lifetime. Or did the dream impact me so deeply that it permanently affected my physical body, and the Reiki treatment helped? But, I'm leaning more towards I actually felt a reincarnated death, and I, had that Reiki treatment healed me in this lifetime. So that's more what I'm leaning towards. But there are people I have met who are like, don't believe in reincarnation. So that's why I just called it an existential question for you. Like, how do you explain something like that, where somebody who had no idea anything about me, who didn't know about this dream, had that vision of that arrow in my body? That like, trippy. So message of the story is, try Reiki. It's very interesting stuff. And the power of healing work, and to be honest with you, that pain went away, and it doesn't bother me right there anymore. Like, it worked. I just needed healing in that spot, that cellular soul spiritual memory remembered that damn arrow. So pretty crazy. I forgot one of my show and tell things. I could kick my own butt for that. Okay. I need a drink of water. All right. You ready for some more? Who's with me? Hi, Johnny Finoker. And, okay, cool. I want to say, what's the next one? All right. The one I accidentally scratched out when I hadn't got to it yet. Yeah, that one. So I did this, so anyone who's been a religious follower of my shows might have heard this one before, but it's powerful enough to share again, because there's people who haven't seen my previous shows that are watching today. Okay, so I did this phone call meditation, guided meditation, with this really epic spiritual medical intuitive healer. This dude, I met him in person, And he must be like a human form archangel. I'm not even kidding. First of all, when I first met him in the physical, he's very tall and he had on these regal robes. And we locked eyes at each other in this VIP healing room at this event and for staff. And we, without any words at all, he just comes toward me and he touched me on the elbow, my elbow. And when he did that, I was overcome with this profound unconditional love blast from God. And I busted out crying uncontrollably. Like, that's the power of this dude's healing touch. His name is Justin Elledge, and you can look him up. I also had him as a guest in my Hollywood talk show studio. And that show, you can find it on my YouTube channel and on my website. That show is called Epic Healers. I can't remember if it's my season 1 or season 2, but you just got to go find it. But you can book phone calls and healings with this guy, and he does medical intuitive scans of your body and will tell you stuff that's wrong with you. And he can also do this meditation that he did with me. So basically, I did this meditation with Justin Elledge, and he was walking me through portals. So I'm doing this with my eyes closed, and I'm on the phone with him, and he's walking me through portal after portal after door. And I am really deep in this meditation. And all of a sudden, he like clapped really loud. And when he clapped, I was sent to this like place. I hope you've seen the Matrix movie, the first one. I was in a completely white, everything around me was white, except behind me was shadow. And what it felt like, was I was standing on the line of a yin-yang symbol in a way, where all ahead of me, the future is white, it's uncertain, it's not manifested yet, it's unknown, it hasn't happened yet. The past was shadow. Everything that had happened was in the shadow. And it was just a really cool feeling and experience to be in that place. And like basically the message for the audience and for me and for, that experience was you need to be reminded to be present. Be in this moment. Be in the present moment as best you possibly can. And it's okay to have days where you rest. You need to listen to your body and rest when it needs rest. Take a nap when you need a nap. Go get medical care if you feel like you need medical care. Listen to your temple. If you're in pain somewhere, give it some attention, get it checked out. But you need to be in the present moment with your highest self and completely, you never know when your life is going to end. And you need to live each day as if it could be your last. And I keep actual like postcards in my office reminding myself to live each day to the best of my ability, like it could be my last, and just reminders for myself. And treat people good as best you can in the moment that you're with them. The future is uncertain. You really don't know. You can schedule stuff. You can plan ahead. You can plan an entire trip down to the detail, but you don't know how it's actually going to unfold until you're there in the present. So your job is to just be in the present and go with the flow, go with your schedule, but you don't know what God is actually going to do to fill in the other stuff, and you're co-creating with God, Supreme Being, Creator, and you're co-creating with other people that you're around. So whoever is in your field, be in the present with them as best you can. Put your damn phone away and focus on who you're with in the moment. What does that moment have a gift for you? Tell people you love them. Tell people you care about them. You never know when it could be your last. Hug people before you part ways. You could lose someone at any minute. Okay, so that was that story. I don't even know what story I'm on since I jumped around. Damn it. It kind of sucks. Okay, where am I? Give me a moment. Okay. Well, I guess I'll save the last one because I literally need to run downstairs and get a prop, which I've never left the screen before, but I might need to do that. So I'll save it till the end if you're willing to stay with me, because I really wanted to show a prop and I forgot to get it before the show. But so I'm going to tell the next story is I went to this nightclub in Portland, Oregon. And first of all, when I showed up, this guy who was dressed up like the devil greeted me and led me into this place. And I was wearing my angel wings. And so it was very weird to like, oh, here's a guy dressed like the devil who's leading me to this nightclub. That should have been my first hint that it's sketchy, right? But true story. So I get up into this nightclub, right? And it's kind of like I don't know if I should even out myself with this stuff, but so Portland is one of the most sexually accepting cities you could be in. There's more strip clubs per capita than anywhere else in the country. There's a lot of open relationship. There's a lot of transgender there. I mean, it's very open sexually in Portland. So this particular night, they actually had somebody who was getting like all artfully tied up and hanging from the ceiling as like an art show, but like a human art show. It's kind of hard to, I don't know how to describe it. But this dude is basically wrapping this really beautiful girl in ropes very artistically. And then he like hung her upside down and just swung her. And she loved it. I mean, she was doing this kind of like dance, even though she was all tied up, she was kind of still able to like move and swing. And it was very interesting to watch this art show. Well, anyway, during this art show rope swinging chick, there I see across the room, and I was wearing my angel wings. That's important. So I see across the room from me this gorgeous blonde girl. I swear she looked like Barbie incarnate. White, voluptuous curves, but skinny, and blue eyes, white, like platinum blonde, long hair. And she had it in this like crazy looking like braid that came down to one side. And it was just, she was gorgeous. And she had on this like weird black leather outfit. And I thought she was like a dominatrix or something. I was like, why would you wear that? Like, so I'm so intrigued by her that I literally get up from my seat and I walk around, this art show lobby area, and I go and I sit next to her for a moment, and I said, hi, I just wanted to ask who you are and like, see, I wanted to find out, are you like a dominatrix or something? I mean, you have a really interesting outfit on. And it was as soon as I finished my sentence, I felt this gravitational pull. And it was the weirdest thing like I've ever felt. And she looked at me, and it was this look I can't even describe. But she like looked at me with her beautiful blonde or blue eyes, and she's like, actually, I'm a demon. And I was like, what? She actually said that? She's like, yeah, I'm a demon, and I was invited in here, and that's why I'm allowed to be here. And I was like, anyway, so this chick had this gravitational pull into her aura, and it was freaking me out so bad that I was feeling this and what she was saying to me, that I was like, okay. And I literally just got up and bolted the heck out of there because I couldn't take it. Like, I've never encountered any, like, I take that back. There was one other person in Portland where I feel like I kind of felt that gravitational pull, but it was a completely different person. and she was a little farther away from me, I could feel her starting to pull me into her like depression story, and I bolted out of there. But as far as somebody actually telling me to my face that they're a demon, that was very interesting, because I feel like I'm an earth angel. I'm a screwed up, flawed human being just like everybody else, but I do feel like I'm earth angel-y, you know? So to meet a demon in the flesh was like pretty trippy, you know? Okay, so if you need to take a quick pee break, this is the moment. I'm gonna haul ass downstairs. I'm gonna get my prop, and I'm gonna tell you the last story. So hang in there and don't leave, or I'll slap you around, okay? I'll be right back. Okay, see, that wasn't so bad. Okay, so last story. So I went to my wings are all screwed up. I went to this shaman breathwork healing retreat in Albany, New York. It was a year or two ago. I can't remember. I think it was last year. So, and it was out in the boondocks. I'm telling you, country. And so I go to this breathwork, and we just kept doing deep, intense shaman breathwork meditations 2 or 3 times a day. It was exhausting, to be honest with you. So you get to a point where you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. There's so much work, and you're processing so much random crap. But anyway, during one of these particular shaman breathwork meditation exercises, each one's a little bit guided or in a different way, but some have different instructions on how you're starting. So one of them in particular, as we're being guided into this meditation, as soon as I closed my eyes, I had an encounter with a Native American man. He was sitting in front of me, and he had it almost seemed like out of a movie, the clothing, and it was like, leather deer skin kind of clothes, and he had long black hair and the feathers sticking in his hair like eagle feathers, and his feet were dirty, and he was just sitting in front of me. And then I had this moment of clarity where I was told that this was my father in a past life when I was a Native American girl. And he just started talking to me like a dad. And I was kind of telling him things that were going on in my life, with problems with my relationship. And he, it was so interesting that I had this moment, because I want to say I do love my dad in this lifetime, but I feel like I'm not able to talk to him about some emotional stuff. I don't know why. It's just like either he shies away from it, or I'm not able to talk to him like that. But in this Native American lifetime guy, I felt like I could talk to him about things I couldn't normally talk about with this father figure. And he kept calling me White Tiger. And apparently my name in this past Native American life was White Tiger. And he took me to this river, and he said, one thing he likes to do to get grounded and calm down is to put his feet in the river. And we put our feet in the river together, and we were just talking, and it was so healing. And then I was complaining to him how I felt like I'm not that supported in this lifetime, and sometimes I wish I had more support with my mission and sponsors and stuff. And he looked over me, and he rubbed my head, and he said, White Tiger, you are always supported. And then I woke up. So then fast forward half a year, my dad took me to some ranch land. He owns a little bit of ranch land out in West Texas. And we're me and my dad and my half brother, we're trekking around on this vacant property. So some people used to live on it back when there was some flood homes that the government put up after a flood, and some people who had lost their homes lived there temporarily. And then they removed all these temporary mobile homes and it's just vacant land. But there was some trash left over on this lot that my dad owns. And so I'm just trucking around this vacant lot and I look down and guess what I found on the ground? A damn white tiger. Of all things to find on the ground on my dad's land, right after I have this white tiger meditation, I kind of tripping balls. So it was dirty, but when I washed it, and it looks pretty good now, you know? How cool is that? So, yeah, message for you is never underestimate shaman breathwork meditation because you can have some trippy spiritual experiences, you know what I'm saying? And you can find signs in your reality to back up stuff, and you're just like, whoa. So that concludes the show. I hope you enjoyed my entertaining random stories. And thank you for whoever hung in there and watched. And share it if you want. Help me get these words out because I really feel like, especially my God, story and hell experience, people need to hear this stuff so that they can know that God is there for them and to believe in God and just pray and call out when you need help. Like, share these stories so that other people won't be lost souls and they'll have something to turn to when they need it. So God bless everybody. I don't know who I'm having next week, but I do know I have a show scheduled for November 22nd. I'm going to have Raquel Spring, the famous astrologer, as my guest on November 22nd. But I might have another show before that. I don't know. So you just got to watch my Instagram, watch my Facebook, and look for my flyers that I post on the day and the time of my next show and who I'm having. And I think I've just decided if guests bail out on me, that means that's my moment to just do whatever I want, come up with something crazy to entertain you. And yeah, so love you all. God bless. Good night. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching.